Hey guys, so I'm going to show you how to perform your rear foot elevated split squat and your front foot elevated split squat variations as part of your programming. Now the thing is with the split squat, depending on the stride length and also depending on which foot we're actually going to elevate, this will determine whether or not we're going to bias the exercise towards the hamstrings and glutes, or we're going to bias the exercise towards the quads. Now in both cases, we're obviously receiving stimulation of the quads, the hamstrings, the glutes, and obviously all the stabilizers as well that are surrounding your hips and also your knee. So we are going to get recruitment across the board, but depending on how we set up the split squat will determine where we're going to bias essentially most of the stimulus. So all you need to do in order to actually perform the split squat is grab a plate. Going to place that somewhere, obviously on the floor. Now, if we're going to go for the rear foot elevated split squat, then this is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to take the back leg, we're going to elevate the toes, obviously onto the plate. You're going to take a step forward, you're going to go down and forward from your knees and your hips, and then up and back. So down and forward, up and back. And so essentially, with the upper body, we're just staying as upright as we can. We're not leaning over that. We're not doing anything too terrific in terms of load. It's either going to be dumbbells that we would hold, or it's going to be barbells that we might hold at the front or at the back. Typically speaking, you're going to start with dumbbell variations, or you're going to start with bodyweight variations. So the front foot elevated split squat. This is now going to change the bias. We're going to put a lot more tension through the quads. Always remember this as well, in both cases, whichever the back leg is going to be, whether it's going to be front foot loaded, whether it's going to be rear foot elevated, essentially the back leg, the quads are going to be trained under the lengthened position. So we're still, like we talked about before, going to receive that stimulus. Now the split squat is slightly different to the lunge, and you'll have noticed me do that on the first demonstration. We're actually actively trying to push the knee and the hips down and forward so that we're essentially taking this structure and improving the range of motion across the joints as well as across the musculature. So you're going to elevate your front foot, same thing, hands onto your hips. You're going to come down and forward, up and back. So down and forward, up and back. And you'll feel the difference between the two. So those are your front foot elevated and rear foot elevated split squat variations.